Okay, today I'm talking to Mick PUNSHON, Racecourse bookmaker and affectionately known as Spinning Mick. Thanks very much, Mick, for taking some time out to talk to us today.
No problem.
For a bit of background for people watching, you've been involved in Racecourse bookmaking since 1987 when you're aged just 14, so an adult life in the ring.
Yeah.
Has it been a life well spent?
Well, I would say so, yes. I think my parents might have said it was a bit of a waste, but no, I've enjoyed 99% of the days, and you know, the atmosphere and the buzz on the racecourse in the betting ring has changed over the years, but yeah, it's been basically really enjoyable.
Okay, we'll talk more about that later, but should we head straight into what we're talking about, what's going on now? Your involvement in bookmaker politics. You're chairman of the ARB and a director of the FRB, have I got that right?
Yeah, that's correct. The ARB was run by a gentleman who's, you know, has done more than enough for the cause, and he decided it was time of life to step down, and me at 51, being the youngest member, I agreed to do it with the help of a deputy chairman should life get in the way of a few meetings. But basically it's the politics of on-course bookmaking and trying to make sure we get a fair deal from the racecourses and everyone we have to deal with.
And ARB, Association of Racecourse
Bookmakers, yeah.
And FRB
is the Federation of Racecourse Bookmakers, which comprises of the chairman of the ARB, the chairman of the National Association of Bookmakers, and the Rails Association. Unfortunately, their chairman, Robin Grossman, sadly died a few months ago, so they're in the process of sorting out a replacement.
Okay, and the people might have seen you recently on national TV talking about banking issues with racehorse bookmakers. As an industry, you're under pressure with the apparent desire of the banking industry to go cashless and unwilling to service racehorse bookmakers. Tell us a bit about that for anybody that doesn't know what the problem is.
Well, basically, you know, it's one of the few main cash industries. Obviously, we do take card bets now. We legally can't take credit cards, have to take debit cards only. And the percentage of turnover used to be 1 or 2%. Now it's above 10, and it's obviously only going to go one way. But obviously, to facilitate the customers on track, you need to have a current account and a business account. And yes, NatWest, after 35 years having the account, man and boy, sent me a letter to say basically go away. No reason given. There was certainly no illegal activity on the account. I could have explained every single transaction. They weren't interested. The big banks don't want cash, and also to give them ever so slight mitigation, they keep getting ridiculous fines for like money laundering. And if you Google, for example, NatWest anti-money laundering fines, their last one was 285 million, which does tend you to think why they give two monkeys about people like me having a personal or business account. It is very bizarre, but yes, they closed me down. And if you don't have a current account, you can't even pay the racecourses the daily fee to bet. I mean, I have sorted that out now, but me and plenty of associates have had accounts shut down for years. It's not going to end. And other businesses, you know, painters, decorators, anyone who deals in cash, they're finding it very, very hard to dovetail with the banking industry.
They're preaching to the converted, I know, but surely if a racecourse bookmaker is a legal profession and it's a licensed by the government profession, so surely if you say, look, I'm a racecourse bookmaker, that explains the cash. Have you tried something as simple as that?
Honest, you can't even talk to someone who understands it. You're just talking to someone who's got a script or an algorithm and just says, I've been told by my bosses we don't want cash business at all, so we're just getting rid of it as and when we feel the need. You know, and 35 years loyalty to NatWest got me at zero. And in fact, in trying to switch accounts, they've made it as hard as physically possible for me to do it. So, you know, they get 0 stars from me on any review.
You get the feeling that it's, I mean, in recent years we've all seen it, that after decades or even centuries have been totally socially acceptable, mainstream pastime gambling and people that enjoy gambling have been demonised. Do you think it's pressure from that narrative?
It's the PC fun police. You know, everyone's entitled to their opinion. We're all entitled to our opinion, but I have customers, we all have customers, not just me, who come up and say, well, hang on a minute, I've used this credit card to purchase my ticket to get into the racecourse. I've used this credit card to pay for alcohol, for food, and now you're telling me I can't have a bet with it. And I say, well, yes, because apparently the British government tells you that you're not trustworthy to know what you should do with your own money. It's a legal profession. We're heavily regulated. It is ridiculous. You know, if I take my wife to London for a nice weekend and ring up the Ritz Hotel and say, look, let's stop over for a night and treat ourselves, they can't take my debit card details quick enough. They don't ask me if I can afford it. They couldn't care less. People get into massive debt over shopping too much, catalogue, payday loans, and that's not stopped. And they can do that with a credit card. People are finding it almost impossible to bet with a debit card, and it is about time that people stood up and said, look, you cannot tell us what we can and cannot do with our own money. Because if the government and fund police get this through, where will it end? Will they say, we don't trust you to spend the right amount of money on holidays, on shopping, on clothes, on cars? Where does it end? You know, if you don't want to gamble, don't gamble. We're not forcing anyone to gamble. People come here today, I consider us, me and my colleagues, part of the entertainment business. You know, we're here to give people a good day out. We're not here to send them home bankrupt. It's ridiculous.
And from what we sort of seems to be happening recently, even the racecourses, which should be your allies, appear to be not necessarily on the side of the racecourse bookmakers. Would you agree with that, or is that
well, at the end of the day, they're running the business like we all are, and you try and do things to do what is best for your business, and that's fully understandable. However, it is getting to the point where the racecourses really don't care who they stand on, the bars, the concession stalls, us the bookmakers. If their bottom line keeps going up, they will consider it a good move. Whereas I don't think they should make decisions to make it better for us. Well, it would be nice, but at the very least, we should be able to scratch each other's back. You know, we're providing entertainment for their customer. So why they want to make it as hard and as expensive it is for us to trade, it's not strange, because they're all pushing their own agendas, which as a business is understandable. But you know, I think there should be a little bit more give and take. You know, help us to help you. But it does seem to be one-way traffic at the minute.
Do you think they fully understand the actual draw that racecourse bookmakers are to a race day for punters? Because can you imagine a racecourse without racecourse bookies?
Well, you've only got to go to France or anywhere, you know. But pool betting in this country does not work. That's been proven. And it will work at Royal Ascot and Cheltenham because you've got vast turnover. But even here today, Ascot, the Shergar Cup Day, the pool betting is not really a value option for Joe Punter. He's entitled to bet with the tote if he wants to, of course he is. But it's part of the buzz and the fun of the ring to go in and say, oh, you know, you're with a few mates, oh, I've had 20 quid at 6, or did you? Oh, I've had it over there at 5, or his mate says, well, I shopped all the way around and got a bit of 13 to 2. That's part of the benefits of on-course bookmakers bring to the race day experience. And I have to agree, I don't think the racecourses realise all they see is how much can we squeeze out of them for our own benefits.
Right, Mick, the last thing I want to do is upset any racecourse bookmakers, but it does seem, from looking from the outside in, that they've sort of been taking all this without much of a fight. What are the racecourse bookmakers trying to do to promote their worth to the racecourse?
I'm glad you've asked that, Simon, because, and I'm going to be unpopular here with certain aspects, but this is a £1 million industry, and pitches have been bought and sold that have cost a small fortune. And what's happened over the last, just before COVID and certainly since COVID, is, as you quite rightly say, the associations, you know, as chairman of one of them, I genuinely don't feel we have that much power, if any, and would be a lot better off being one voice. Now, a lot of bookmakers are going to say, oh, he's just going to push his own agenda, he's going to want this, he's going to want that. But we're dealing with the Gambling Commission, not fit for purpose, but that's another day. The Levy Board, the BHA, the RCA, independent racecourses, the DCMS. These people want to speak to an industry as one voice. And the one voice needs to be an association that represents all the bookmakers. And sometimes decisions are going to be made that aren't going to be for the benefit of every bookmaker. But you have to bear in mind, in life is not fair, and you cannot help all of the people all of the time. It's impossible to please everyone. So once you accept that premise, the only thing you can do is you don't chuck the minority under the bus, but by and large you make sure the majority of the people are helped the majority of the time. So I will be pushing for one voice to go and speak to these racecourses, and then once and all the other branches that I mentioned earlier, once they realise that, you know, we speak for the majority, I feel that whilst we may not push the tide the other way, we should at least stop it taking us over. Because the bottom line is, if we do nothing, which you quite rightly said, we have done basically nothing over the years, the racecourses, RCA, Gambling Commission, Levy Board, DCMS, anyone you care to mention, are just basically going to see us as a soft target because we don't stand up. We did once threaten to go to court, and that did go our way. One of the rare occasions that basically every single bookmaker in the country stood behind the cause. But if we do nothing, it's going to get worse. That's a given. So the obvious logical conclusion is do something. So I'm hoping over the coming months we can try and get one voice that speaks for every bookmaker on track, and sometimes decisions will be made that might not please everybody, but they're going to be done, including myself, but it's got to be for the greater good, because this industry hopefully has got a long way to go. We shouldn't look at ourselves as a ticking clock and it's going to be the end. You know, gambling, as you said earlier, is one of the oldest professions and pastimes since existence, so why should it finish anytime soon? We've got to evolve and become an asset to the racecourses rather than a hindrance.
And what you've just said to anybody listening sounds perfectly reasonable, but you've been in the game a long time, longer than me, and you know it's almost impossible to get racecourse bookmakers to work together and agree. So do you think the sort of unique position you've got yourself in now is the younger generation, up with a voice in two associations, you can make that happen?
I would like to think I can be part of the process that makes it fairer for everyone. Like I say, it's like when the government brings out a new law. The media send someone straight round to the one person who's been royally shafted, but they don't send anyone round to the 9,999 people who think that's a good idea. And, you know, people aren't going to agree with every decision that's made, assuming a one association happens. It hasn't happened yet, it may not happen, but I will certainly be doing what I can to make it one voice so that all the people we're dealing with to make our industry viable will listen to us and know that the majority of racecourse bookmakers are behind our opinion.
Has that not been the problem in the past, that you don't do a majority thing? It's if everybody doesn't agree, nothing happens.
Correct. Well, everyone's just worried about their own 6 foot, you know, and we've all been guilty of it, and as would anyone who's got their own business in any walk of life. But basically, you know, the time has come now where, you know, as I say, if we do nothing, it's just going to get worse. It's not just going to get worse for me, it's going to get worse for the best picks, the average picks, the worst picks, everyone. It's going to get worse for everyone. It's an absolute 101 certainty. So something needs to be done. And if that means that not everybody's business gets better, surely that is better than us all just sinking into the oncoming tide.
And how are you going to get them to agree to sign up to that?
Well, if we get enough people on board, hopefully everyone else will say, look, yes, that's a good idea, and with this, you know, they are open to reviews with the race courses, with everyone else, and if we get a majority, I think that'll do. You know, if people want to be in the wilderness and fight their own cause, that's their right to do so. But if it's hard enough to get the associations, RCA, etc., to listen to the FRB, let alone if you're an individual bookmaker, they won't even return your call.
Okay, we're going to continue this in the next part.